Hello, it's Dr. Bettina here. We have had a question, the mother of a 15-year-old daughter who has just got a diagnosis of being on the autism spectrum, and she is starting college. And the parent is asking, what can I do to set her up for success? So, for those who don't know, being on the autism spectrum generally means that the young person may struggle to pick up on social cues. They may have a different way of interacting and communicating. They often have very strong interests. And there's this real need for repetition and routine as a way to help predict and manage everyday life. So, setting up somebody very carefully and thoughtfully in a new situation is really required and very important with somebody on the autism spectrum. And just to say that obviously there are many similarities in people who have this diagnosis, but also there are many differences. And I don't know exactly what this young person might need, but I can offer some broad guidelines for how to set somebody up for transition who have this diagnosis. It's very important to prepare well. It's important to share the diagnosis so the people at college or university know that this person is on the autism spectrum. Familiarizing the young person with the environment, with the accommodation, how they're going to travel is very important as well. So practicing that up front. And then making sure that the young person is able to self-advocate, that they have an identified person or mentor that they know that they can go to if they're struggling or they don't understand anything. And you might want to be a bit more explicit about teaching rules and regulations to somebody who's autistic, as they may not pick them up so intuitively. There's a few areas just to focus on. One is social. So making sure that you help them to socially integrate. So a buddy system can be something that can be really helpful, maybe linking into a peer network of some kind. And often it's the unstructured social time that actually is more stressful for young people who have this diagnosis. So thinking about how to set that up so that that eases that social transition for the young person. Preparing for flexibility and change is very important. As I mentioned before, autistic people have this preference for routine, and they really benefit from having some warning if plans change or if the typical routine is different. It enables them to prepare themselves for how to manage. There might be many opportunities for sharing interests. So people with autism often have some very strong interests and can be real experts in a particular area. And if you can find a way in which they can share that, in which they can meet with other young people who share the same interests, not only can they have a strong sense of belonging, but it also can be a place where they can really develop self-esteem and more confidence. So it might be a special interest group or something like that. Executive functions is something to think about with somebody with autism. Executive functioning is our ability to plan and organize and manage our time. And this can often be a difficulty with our neurodiverse population. So upfront, offering some support with planning, with organizing. When you transition to college or university, many of the scaffolds of school are taken away. So if we can help the young person to think about how to put those in, to manage their time, to set themselves internal goals for longer pieces of work or dissertations, that kind of thing. And then finally, thinking about sensory sensitivities. So people with autism can often be very overwhelmed with sensory input, and that can be to do with noise or smell or touch. And what we need to do is to make adjustments to the environment to account for this, because when there is a sensory overload, the brain really struggles to think, and it's very hard to regulate emotions in that moment. So it's just really thinking carefully about that. Is there a quiet place in the building where they might be able to go to do their studies, that kind of thing. So expect some bumps along the road. This is an absolutely huge transition, but it can often be a place where young people with autism can really thrive as they begin to be able to focus in on the things that are of interest to them, and their real strengths can come up and they can really flourish at this time. So I really wish this family good luck in this important transition.